And we're going into talking about improv, which is really Gallagher's more the driver at this point. I get to sit back.
You get to sit back and
Sweet.
relax. So normally in previous shows we do a Billy Boy show with our guests, and then we'd take a break, and then later on in the evening we would go straight into a conversation. Welcome to Bristol Longform Conversations. This is just a segment that John and I have where we have a wonderful guest from the world of longform improv, and we just chat. We just chat about your experience. We chat about we ask the big questions. And it's just a nice way of building a community in the UK. So our special guest, obviously, Liam Brennan. Hello, Liam.
Hey.
Tell us about, well, first of all, I know that you're a great long-form improviser from London, working with Hoopla. You've come to Bristol a few times and done some great shows. Tell us where you started. Give us like a summary of your timeline of doing long-form improv.
Okay. So I started at uni, University of Kent. I joined a team there called Play It By Ear, and we were doing short form stuff. So doing, kind of very Whose Lines It Anyway style stuff. And then about a year into that, I bumped into someone called Lucy Fennell, who essentially taught me long form improv. And like kind of before that point, I was like, I saw one of my teammates shared with me a UCB ASCAP video, so that was probably my first like look at long form improv. Going from there, I really like fell in love with it. Like I've been doing improv for a year by that point, but I wasn't in love with the idea of improv. Like I've never really, slightly controversial to say, but I've never really been a big fan of Whose Line Is It Anyway. A lot of my pals really fucking love it. I think it's okay. Like it's just not my kind of thing. So when I but it was fun to do. So when I was doing long form stuff, it sort of felt I liked the freedom aspect of it. And kind of just from there, like I moved back to London a couple of years after that. I just pursued it, doggedly trying to make, it sounds so mercenary, but tried to make a living out of doing it, which is why I got into teaching it. That's kind of it, really. And I've been part of, like, I don't know, fucking feels like 100 long form teams since then. And here I am now. I guess that's kind of a sum up. I started working with Hoopla properly, like as a teacher, making gainful employment from improv about 3 years ago. But I'd been doing shows with them quite a long time before that. I think that's like the beat by. That's pretty much the main beats. I think.
Yeah, it's good to have you on as a guest because you are definitely someone that we enjoy watching and playing with. But also you kind of are somebody in the improv community who has kind of in a way made it. You know, you're a performer and now you're teaching it as a profession, which is something that a lot of improvisers want to do, and that's an interesting take for people watching this. McInnes, I think we both agree with that. The idea that we're kind of like, Whose Line was a nice way to start, but we sort of started. I guess we think it's okay now as well, because you definitely perked up when Liam was talking about it.
Yeah, I've said it a lot. Like, maybe it's common in this country to be like, almost the short form has to be a prerequisite for long form, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, if you don't like Whose Line, that's fine. Like, you can also like improv, like long form, and vice versa. Like, if you like Whose Line, you don't have to do long form. Like, they do feel very different. So if somebody is like, this just isn't clicking with me, that's fine. Like, you don't have to do one of them, even though they both share the umbrella of improv. Like, do what you like. Don't do like what you feel like is kind of the expected path of doing improv, because it's like so new. There shouldn't really be like an expected path to somebody expect. I mean, nobody's surprised by this. I prefer long form, but I don't really do a lot of short form.
There's a lot. There's so much variation, isn't there? Like,
even within long form.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's just so much choice. I guess like I've been thinking a lot more recently, like just about like how you can just have different styles of things. I think for a long time I was kind of set in my ways of like, this is the way you're supposed to do improv, really. This is what good improv is. I think that's been challenged like quite a lot over the past like year or so. I think I've probably become, in some ways, more chilled out about it. In other ways, less chilled out about it. It's this weird kind of combo of the two.
Let's talk about like you being a teacher now and a little bit, Liam, because that's like a really specifically interesting dynamic, I think. If you get in your heads when you do shows, I think that's something that happens a lot about. You have to be like, I am a teacher, therefore when I'm doing this show, it's got to be good. I've got to show people that I could do this. I'm getting paid to do this. I can't have a bad show. What do you think about like just having to balance like the fact that you get paid to do it, you feel like you have to do it, but like it's improv, so you might just have a bad show. Feels like it's harder to like deal with bad shows, maybe, is the point that I'm making. Maybe you just get to a point where you're like, okay, whatever, but like, I guess starting out, I would assume like, it's an extra level of pressure beyond just performing improv.
Well, I think, I don't know if it changed that much. I think there was definitely a time, I was talking to like, Katie Shute about this.
Oh no.
And we have had another freeze, but that's fine. It's landed on a very nice plug for Katie Shute.
Yeah.
Like she's been doing years and years, like sometimes as soon as you're a teacher, that like triple.
Liam, you cut out for a second. Sorry to interrupt. You cut out for a second. Do you mind just repeating what you just said? You're on Katie Shute.
Yeah. So can you guys see me? What the fuck is going on with this fucking Google Hangouts? This is why I use Zoom. Goddammit.
I will never hear a bad word against Google nor its mutes functionality.
I might change to a shittier webcam actually, because this ain't working. But yeah, as I was saying, like Katie, like I talked to her quite a little bit about it in terms of, like, yeah, being a teacher, you do get stuck in your head a lot more about it. For a little while, anyway. I think I've got a lot better at dealing with having a shitty show, though. I think I've never been amazing at like. I just get really grumpy. I'll go outside and vape and like have a glass of wine by myself. It's usually my way of dealing with it, and I'll stay out there for about half an hour, and then I'll come back in and sort of like go, yeah, 'cause it's not perfect. Not every show you're going to do is going to be perfect. It's improv. The mistakes are interwoven into the fabric of the piece of work that we do. And you got to deal with that. I think if you want to do anything, you got to fucking deal with the fact you're going to fail a shit ton. Yeah. But yeah, usually it's less public than performing on stage, but I think it's okay. I've learned how to deal with it a lot better. I don't particularly get nervous before shows anymore.
Yeah.
I've not been nervous before a show properly for years. I used to be terrified of shows. But I've got much better at dealing with that. So it's sort of like, I won't want to talk to my students straight after a show. Unless it was an absolute banger.
Now you're just giving the highlight reel of like, God, let's talk about that great scene again.
Hoping people will remember.
Do you guys like that show? Just waiting to hear what they like.
I'm terrible for this. I hate bringing people to shows that I do. I fucking hate it. Which is bad. I know that's bad, and but I just hate it. I don't like to have to talk to. I like to hang out with my team after I'm done, and if I don't like to do that, I just want to go home. I don't really want to. It's when you bring an audience in, and like if I bring my mum or my dad or something to a show, it's kind of like you kind of have to take care of them afterwards, like in terms of, because they don't know anyone and I know everyone, so I kind of have to do that integrating. I fucking hate that. I fucking hate it. I don't like it. I thought I've done my job now. I want to chill.
Yeah. You feel like the host of a little talk show where you have to be like kind of managing everything.
Yeah, I don't deal well with that. Like that's what, like, I don't really like if I have anyone round my flat, it's usually my housemates that take the charge with that. Like if they have parties and stuff. Like, I don't relish the opportunity of being a host unless it's like in a social scenario. But like I don't mind it like when it's performed on stage if it's a bit different.
Yeah. I do that even when I've had a good show. Like I just don't want to talk to audience members. I just want to like chill out, have a drink.
Yeah.
Again, calm down, right?
Yeah, because it's so much. You're doing so much mentally when you've done like even a 30-minute show. It just drains you so much.
Mm-hmm.
It drains you so much that you just don't want to do anything else. Yeah.
Oh, I think it was last year. I came with Fright Club to perform with you guys. Actually, that kind of did make me think of that. I was pretty nervous before that show because I know I had a workshop the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So it was there was a bit. It's a little bit easier in London because it's like I've done enough good shows here, and I sort of feel a bit more confident in this like area. It's like if I come to fucking Bristol and do an absolute shitter of a show, and then have any any right to like teach people the day after, I was terrified of that. To be fair, I do remember that now.
That's me and Gallagher's like never-ending story. We go to like places outside of Bristol, and then we're like, oh, like this feels a little bit weird. Because you're just comfortable when it's an audience of like, you don't even necessarily know everybody, but like, just knowing some people, you're like, oh, the floor for how this show can go is pretty low. But like, once you're, I mean, me and Gallagher's worst shows have been in London, 100%. Apart from Birmingham, we did a really bad one in Birmingham. London and Birmingham have seen our worst.
It's frustrating, right?
Yeah. I feel like a fraud. I'm like, guys, come to Bristol. I'm good there.
Well, to be fair, we've had good shows in places like Leeds and Edinburgh, and
we have eventually done shows good outside of Bristol. That is good.
That's a good segue into improv life in London because what is that? I mean, breaking through to the London improv scene seems very difficult from an outside perspective because there's you've got a lot of really good improv institutions in London, and you've got a heck of a lot of nights and even more teams that share that. And I guess it's kind of happening in Bristol at the moment. You've only got maybe like 2 or 3 institutions, and you've got like a lot of teams at the moment. What's that been like breaking through to getting big nights in the London improv scene?
Yeah, talk about the gossip.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if I necessarily consider that I have broken through. Like, I was very lucky in that when I was at uni, I met Lucy, who was quite well connected to Hoopla. So we started doing shows there at the right time to be taken any notice of as like, oh, these people are new and what have you. And when I came back to London, like to live back there after uni, I applied for this casting call for a new improv long form team that Chris Mead was putting together, who also then went on to work as a teacher for Hoopla and done a bunch of stuff since then. So fucking hell, a lot of it was luck. I loved it and I just did it all the fucking time, and I just stumbled into being able to do shows really. Like, in terms of teaching, I had a much more of a plan. Like, I think I was, the reason why I could do it is because I was smart about it. Like, in terms of, I'm going to do this for free, I'm going to do it weekly, so I'm going to teach every week the same team of people so I can learn how to do this as they learn how to improvise.
Yeah.
So I could do it without too much scrutiny. Like, I could just learn and just, like, grind through this. And then one day I just emailed Steve. I didn't really even know him super well at the time, but we kind of knew each other. And I asked him, and he said, no, there's not really any space. And then 6 months down the line, he said, yeah. And then as soon as he gave me that first opportunity, I just said yes to literally every class he offered me. And that was kind of it. Like, I think, I don't know if there's like a... I still like. I think I'm a much better teacher than I am a performer. I think performing is something I still really want to work on. It's not like teaching. I don't want to work on, but I sort of feel like I'm a much better teacher than I am a performer. I'm much more self-conscious in my I don't know. I don't know what the word would be. Positioning. I don't know. Like, I think I'm a good improviser, but I don't think I'm great or amazing or anything. I don't think that's not modesty either. I think I don't really have a problem with confidence, but I sort of think I do have a problem with experience. Like, I need to just train more and get better. Whereas with teaching, I feel like I'm humbled quite often there, but I sort of feel like because I do it a lot more, because it pays, I have a lot more experience as a teacher, funnily enough, now, rather than as a performer. Does that kind of roundabout talk about what we were talking about?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Anything you say is good. Anything like that's like not brown nosing or anything, but like all information, all experience.
Of course,
is good.
What do you like? What's your favorite thing to like teach? Like, and addendum, like, if you're approaching like a workshop or like coaching a team, watch one of for those two tasks, coaching a team or like doing a workshop for random people, what would your favorite thing to teach for those two be?
I think I guess weirdly, like in some ways, I've really been enjoying teaching a lot more since lockdown happened, and like we've had to reinvent everything a little bit for online tools and stuff. And that's been really exciting. I got to teach a game of the scene course like a couple of months ago, and that's something I've been wanting to teach for ages, and I loved doing that. But then I've got in contact with I've been chatting to a couple of people that, or one team in particular that is thinking about doing more stuff with me. So it's like this, I guess. What I'm enjoying less, I think, is improv in an abstract. Improv without a purpose.
Yeah.
This is going to sound kind of bad, but like, because I do a lot of I coach a lot of people towards their first performance, and kind of afterwards it can feel like it's really lovely. Don't get me wrong, it does feel really lovely, and people are just like, wow, this has been transformative and stuff. And attribute way too much credit to me as well. It's like, I haven't invented improv. I think I'm a nice person as a teacher, but and they sort of go, oh, it must be so fulfilling to bring people onto their first show and stuff and sort of see this transformation. And it's like, it kind of is, but it also is like, it's not really why I'm in improv, really. Yeah. It's lovely. My interest is in the show, the performance, or what's the end product of this? What are we going to create out of this? The transformation side of things I really love, particularly in corporates. Corporates I love a lot more than I ever thought I would. Like, most people think, oh, that sounds terrible. It's like, I find it really fucking interesting applying improv into a corporate environment because it works. You have to change a lot of things, but I think it works really well. So it's kind of that, and that's very much my personality as well. Like, I'm into like, what's the point of this? And I don't mean that in a negative way.
No,
as opposed to just having it for fun. And it is fun, but I'm not into it just for fun.
I agree with that. It can be frustrating, like, especially if you've got a team who you think is great, but they are just doing it for fun. And you're like, guys, you could like really go far if you really wanted to. Like, you're great. But they're like, no, we don't want that. Like, we just want to like, all we want to do is like meet weekly for a workshop and to have fun. That can be like frustrating to some degree because you're like, guys, you're better than this.
Yeah, I feel that pain, man. Like, a lot. Like, I think like, because I don't think like, I guess there's a kind of a side avenue, but like, I think a lot of people, and this is one thing that's been really valuable from teaching like lower levels of improv in terms of lower end of experiences, the amount of focus and attention that's put on people thinking they're either talented or not talented or whatever. And like, I don't think I particularly did have much of a talent for any of this really when I started, but maybe a little bit more than like average, but not. I wasn't like a fucking 5-year-old who had like class in stitches or anything like that. I was pretty funny, but I wasn't like super talented or anything. Like, I've met some people that were just like, whoa, this person's much more talented than me. But like, it's about like, having a direction to it, like people like really trying and like going like, oh, make something of this. That really does resonate with me. And I like part of that is also me kind of letting go of like, that's really what I want. It might not be what they want though. I've had lots of conversations with people where it's like I've pushed my agenda of, oh, I want you to do this, and like some people really are just doing it for fun, and that's fair play to them, but I'm not. To be honest.
I think there's like an interesting line there where like within like, especially if you're like coaching a group, you are often put into the role of not just like coach but like director to some degree, because they are directionless with what they want from the team. They're like, what should we do? They are very open to whatever, and then unfortunately you're like, okay, I think you should do this, and then like of course they're not, it's not their idea, so they kind of have to be stepped through like, why do I want to do this? And you all you want to not do is be like, well, I'm just doing whatever I want to do because you guys don't have any specific direction. I'm just giving you something to go towards. It can be hard to be like, okay, they're what I want them to do. Obviously, when you're learning something, it's new, so there's a hurdle. But I guess you got to like identify the spot where it's like, okay, this isn't exactly what's for this team. That's like a real hard niche, I guess.
I think like that kind of makes me think about when I've been both coached and been a coach or in a room where it says like, oh, we're up for whatever. I find that quite strange. Like I dig it in some ways because it's like, oh, it means people are open and stuff. But also most of the time, I think it's laziness. I think it's like, oh, we haven't really had that discussion of where we want to go with this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, we're going to waste the first 20 minutes of this.
Yeah.
Chatting about stuff that you could have just worked out like on a WhatsApp group kind of thing.
100%.
That's the way you want to work and stuff. But like, for me, and again, this is just something that's really in me a little bit too driven sometimes. It's like, all right, we need to get this down into right, what are we doing for this session?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why improv's probably quite good for me, to get me to not be quite like that quite as much.
It also feels like you're trying to help them though, because like they're paying for your time. And you can be like, guys, agree what you want to do before I turn up, and you'll save a little bit of money, because then we could just go straight into scenes. But
that's what I want to do really. Like I want to get to the juicy bit, like get to the main core of things quickly. So I take that point.
It is a lack of experience that I find with a lot of new teams, is that they try and rush into things way too quickly. And then they try, some of it is, it's experience. I mean, you're giving them experience. You're not giving them the talent. You're not saying you're the best teacher. You're giving them the experience of what you know and what you think is the right choice. But a lot of new improv teams, they go in and they immediately do shows, and then they realize that the shows aren't that good. It's because they're not listening to the audience. They're trying to make each other laugh, and that's why a lot of rehearsals are fucking about for 30 minutes. And the joy in that is them making each other laugh and not listening to what the whole point of it is, which is to entertain an audience. And that's why some teams, like in Bristol, there are some teams who like come and go every so often. I'm not saying that they do that. I'm just saying like it's what I've seen and experienced with like a lot of different teams in different places. It's the ones that are dedicated, or the ones that are the team and want the same thing, usually go further.
Yeah, I think this should happen much more often. That like wanting the same thing, I think, is so fucking important, or at least being aware of like what people want in the room. Because I think I've been part of teams or coach teams or whatever, like they've just been like in my periphery or whatever, where everyone in the room wants something different, and there can be frustrations there because the people that have it who just want to have fun are being pushed too much in the wrong direction, or that it's not fun for them anymore, and vice versa. People who want to like, I want to try and make I want to do a show that's good. Then they kind of get frustrated when everything isn't going in their like direction, kind of thing. I think sometimes it's just like, it's about like having a chat where everyone's really open and honest with each other. There was Mark we did like a workshop with Mark Beltzman,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a really nice quote that's really stuck with me, where politeness is an illness that will kill any ensemble. And I think that's so fucking true. I've been part of like teams that I've loved in the past, where there's been really obvious problems that no one's talked about, and there's this other book, and I really recommend this book. It's quite dry, but it's also it's really interesting in places. It's the Pixar book, Creativity Inc.
Okay.
And one of the director behind Pixar, like in the book, puts like your company's in trouble if you're having more candid conversations in the corridor than you're having in the room. And that's the same with improv teams. Well, I'm sure we've all been part of teams before where we're having these conversations where I don't think that show was very good, and then we're in the room and we're like, yeah, that show was great. I love that show. Wow, what all the great offers. And like, we're scared of talking to each other and like actually saying what we want, because we don't want to cause a problem. But then because that shit gets pushed to the back, when then we get triggered, then it does become a problem because we've not talked about it, and then it's all this big deluge of info. So it's something that's really stuck with me, and I'm trying to be much more honest when I'm in any creative project. And it can rub people up the wrong way because I'm not always necessarily the best at it. But I'm trying. Like, I'm trying to be kind, but also honest at the same time. I think it's a big fucking thing.
Yeah, that's why I force like any team I'm in to do like a 2-hour debrief after every show.
Yeah, exactly. You get it. You get it.
And luckily, there is not one person in that team who doesn't want to do it. Everybody wants to do it.
Everybody is more enthusiastic than me somehow.
Yeah. And we're more enthusiastic to tell people to fuck off when they come over to us and say, hey, that was a good show. No,
very frequently.
We're debriefing.
Hey, thanks for coming to this place. Don't talk to us for 2 hours. We're talking to each other right now about what that show was.
Liam, what is your favourite long-form format? Which one do you prefer?
I'm gonna level with you. I fucking hate formats.
Oh.
I fucking hate formats. It's been quite a recent thing. I don't necessarily... Any format that's been already kind of made, I'm kind of sick of. I think they've got good training applications, but I don't like them no more. I like new stuff. Because one of my teams has, like, we are creating a format. It's not perfect or anything, but I'm finding it interesting kind of moving away from formats. That's a dickish answer, but that's pretty true.
I think it's a valid answer.
Yeah.
Are you then kind of saying, like, what you're more into right now is, like, working as a team, like, coming up with a new form, or do you prefer, like, an organic thing where we're not going to pre-agree anything, but we're just going to go on and do, like, some set amount of time, and we don't know what it is?
I think more the first one. I think there is room, like I think there's room for. I don't want to do like I don't know. Oh man, I'm not actually sure. I think kind of the first one, but also the second one made me light up a little bit. What you were saying about like having a bit of freedom there as well.
Yeah, it seems hard. I mean, it's obviously harder, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it is difficult, and I kind of just want to find, the balance between the two. Like, you could say, like, lots of great things, like, about a pretty flower, for example. Because that is one thing that's springing to me, because I think that's really great practice for certain things. It's kind of flexible enough that you can do a lot around it. But also, I guess, like, I've never done a deconstruction for... I've never done a deconstruction, for example. Strictly speaking, I've never done a deconstruction. And there was a time when, like, I'd see that in our, I'd see that advertised deconstruction. I'd be like, oh man, I really want to learn that. I really want to do that. And then, like, over the past, I don't know, like, year, I sort of see it, and I'm like, I have no interest in learning that form. Historically, context-wise, it'd be interesting. I'd possibly read about it. Yeah, I've just really moved away from the idea of, especially historical forms, unless, but that could change. I'm very changeable about these kind of things.
what would you say, like, you know, if you've got three, give us three, but like it can be just one big note that you got in a workshop that you thought helped you. Doesn't have to be three. If you got three, give us three, but like, what's the big ones?
So had a workshop with Will Hines. Fucking dig him so much. We had Patty Styles, and like so two of the best improv teachers in the world, pretty easily, I'd say. And they both said to me on two separate occasions I wasn't listening very well, and that fucking hurt. That really fucking hurt. I was already like probably teaching a shit ton by this point and performing loads, especially the Patty Styles one. That was a hoopla. It like booked her in. It's like, man, I don't fucking listen. That's a big one. I don't fucking listen anywhere near as well as I thought I did. Like, I'm too preoccupied with the good idea in my head rather than the good idea coming out of my partner's mouth. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Go back to talking about Lucy Fennell. Like, playing emotional honesty in scenes. That's a big one. I really fucking didn't want to. In my head, when like teachers would tell me that, I'd just be thinking, like, shut the fuck up. I just want to be funny. Just let me be funny on stage. But that is much funnier. Like, it's much funnier to be emotionally honest and like act as a person would. Like even if you're playing a fucking, I don't know, like ferret or something in a scene. Like be an emotive ferret. Be a ferret that fucking like whose girlfriend's broken up with them or like lost their job or some shit. Like that's just so much. I like watching that stuff. Like if you don't have like emotional honesty in a scene, I'm probably not going to be that interested. But I also think most audiences won't be that interested. They won't necessarily be able to articulate that.
Yeah.
So they might not be able to. But I think that's that. And I think those are probably the two big ones. Yeah. Oh yeah, I suppose to go back to Will Hines, his really good book. How to Be the Greatest Improviser in the World. The last chapter, I think, is called Be Healthy. That's something that I want to definitely work more on. Like, I've been talking about that chapter ever since I've bought the book, really. I think, like, even though that book's great, like, I remember once, and this is more about the lifestyle of, like, what I picked to do, and, like, in terms of having, like, really tunnel vision about, I want to be a professional improviser, I want to make money from this. And it's sort of like, that was at the expense of quite a lot of other stuff. I have to like hold my hand up and admit. Like I was doing a course and my friend had like invited me to his wedding. I won't say who it was. And I was like, well, I can't go to the wedding because that's going to get in the way of the course. I did go to the wedding, but like, that was kind of it. I had such tunnel vision about improv for a long time. I still kind of do in many ways.
Yeah.
Or I'll put another project there. So that was a big one, I think. Be healthy. Like, live a life outside of this. Because otherwise, for a start, to kind of miss the point of it, then your improv's not going to be about that much if you haven't lived a life.
Yeah.
Also, like, no matter how fun and awesome all this stuff is, and it really is, like, I'm so passionate about it. That's why I get pissy about it. So I really fucking love it. But also, I was just doing it too much. I was doing it way too much.
How much would you do in a week? Like in an average week at your busiest periods, what would you usually do in a week?
So on my busiest period, I'd usually work 7 till 9:30 Monday to Thursday. Those PMs, by the way, there's not proper working weeks, Jesus. Like, so I'd have a 2.5 hour session on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That would be a combination of different courses. During the daytimes of those, that would either be doing a bit of planning. I might have a corporate that I do, or there'll be a side project like writing sketches or something like that. Something in a different side of things. Then the weekends, maybe a rehearsal and a show. And then maybe even another teaching gig. Like, I suppose trying to fit other stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
So that's probably, I think that's about average. And
So,
everything's kind of been thrown out the window now, obviously.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's probably a bit too much, if I'm being honest with myself. But it's good. Like, you can't, like, I complain too much, I think, sometimes. Like, that's a really fucking good gig. But I think it's just a balancing act for me. I'm sort of getting better at.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to stop teaching. But I do want to, like, I want to do more things and, like, take the improv process and put it to other things, like writing. I've been reading, I can't remember what it's called. I literally just got it today via Amazon, but the Second City book. It's talking about, like, creating sketches through improv, and we've kind of been doing that for a number of years. Mixed success. So I'm really interested in that at the moment. Yeah, I guess that's the standard week.
And with the community in London, I guess there's a lot of opportunities to move into different aspects. I mean, I know a lot of people in the improv community in Bristol. Some of them do go into stand-up. John has his own sketch night, which goes really well, and a lot of improv performers perform on it there, and the community just seems to be getting bigger, and I'm guessing that's the same in London. Or do you think, or this is mainly a question about London, or do you think there's like a divide in London in terms of all the different improv communities?
Maybe. I don't think so, really. Like, I've never had any... I know I work for an improv company, and I've never had any problems from anyone else. I think some people think there is a divide, to be honest. But if that's what they believe, that's what they believe. Personally, I've never had any problem. Everyone's been pretty fucking cool to me. Even kind of dicky people have been fairly cool to me. Like, it's pretty low-level dickery, to be honest with you. I think, like, maybe from the newer people, like, they'll start with a school, and they'll go, man, this school is the best kind of way to do improv. And it's like, what's the best? That's, like, an unquantifiable thing. Kind of. I think it's getting bigger. I think that if there was a divide, and I think there probably were in certain circles, I don't really feel it so much. I'm quite lucky. I've never really had that bad a time with anyone. So
That's good.
Okay, you said earlier you were like get pissy about certain things, so this is a question I love asking people. What's something somebody can do in a scene with you that you instantly, without even thinking about it, will really like hate? You really judge that player. You wouldn't even have a chance to process it. Your bones will be like, ugh, this.
Man, good question.
Even though it's not good to like, you don't want to do it, but like it's impossible. I say it's impossible to avoid to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think, okay, I've got one actually. So when people are doing what is called a long form set, they won't introduce any new ideas. That fucking pisses me off a lot. So like, let's say the three of us did a scene where we're robbing a bank or something.
Yeah.
And then the second scene, like let's say it takes place in a cafe, then within 5 seconds, the 3 people in the fucking cafe are talking about robbing a bank. It's just like, oh my god, stop! We just did that scene.
Like immediately connecting everything into like a big story. Yeah. Like just the second you were describing it, I was like, this doesn't feel good to me. If that was the second scene in a show, there's not enough time for me to like forget that there was a scene.
Yeah.
If you do that in the second scene, I am immediately like, ugh.
Yeah, that's probably the one. I had to think about that, but yeah, that definitely makes me go. It takes the air out of my.
And if you're in it, like all you can do is like support it basically, even though you don't want to. You're like, okay, well it's a big connected thing. We're just gonna I'll try and do the best I can, but unfortunately you can't like undo that bell or anything. Now the whole show almost has to be like that.
Yes, fiddly. I guess it doesn't happen super often, to be honest. Like, and it's to be fair, it's a newer improviser thing. So,
it happens in jams a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Well, what about your what's been a show that, and you've performed with loads of different teams, you've said before. What's been your favorite show? What's the show what's been your favorite show? And then counter question, what's been your worst show, where you maybe personally haven't felt like you didn't do that well, or the show in general hasn't done that well?
Yeah, you, or if other people failed.
Yeah, you can blame it on other people if you want.
Yeah.
No, there's one that was very much a team failure. I've got the. I guess maybe it wasn't even the worst show, but like there was this this show that we later called. This was with this team, and I fucking love this team. We were going to have a reunion show actually, probably this weekend, in theory. But it's a group called the Science of Living Things. It was my first like proper long form team. It was the one that Chris Mead coached and stuff, and kind of got me into in a good position in the London improv scene. We were performing in this synagogue, because it was like this kind of arts, kind of a little bit of everything. So already we're kind of on the back foot. We're doing comedy in a it's not a comedy night. I don't like doing not comedy on comedy nights anymore. And we were feeling a little bit nervous, because like we were in a fucking place of worship. Like, I'm not religious, but I don't want to offend people or anything like that, and I kind of want to treat the place with a bit of respect. So we were kind of on the back foot again. So if you're counting, we're 2 back foots in by this point. And we start performing. We get the suggestion of Plum, and actually, exactly the thing that I get pissy about. We wouldn't leave Plum the fuck alone. Like, we would, like, every scene would be like, and this isn't an exaggeration either. It's like, oh, I've got you some shoes, some Plum shoes. And like literally every fucking scene, like we had something to do with plums. And then we finally got away from it. We did like a scene where it was like, so it's like, give me your fucking money, give me your fucking money. And the person turned around and went, oh my god, a talking plum. And it was like, no. That's definitely one of the worst shows I've done. That's the one that springs to mind. I look back on that show really fondly. I think it was really funny, like how badly we just
That's good.
did. Apparently Chris talks about that to his students as well.
What about a show that you've been very proud of? A really good show that everything just came together.
The one we did in Bristol, I felt really happy with that. I think again, that one felt really good. Another one that comes to mind. It's usually when there's, I guess, more of a story behind it, because we did this. I can say because it was ages ago. We did this gig in this place called the Dog Star. This was Science of Living Things again, actually. And we had an absolute shitter because we were, our time was like ludicrously cut, so we had less than 10 minutes. By the time we really got going, we were straight off stage.
Say less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was kind of sucky they did that, to be honest.
That's tough.
Sucky. But anyway, but we came back like a month later, and like had already kind of these feelings of like, ugh, last time we did here it was like really fucking bad, and kind of felt annoyed about it. And everything came together. We had an awesome show. There was this like really funny little physical comedy moment that I really enjoyed, and I remember me doing it because I'm okay at physical stuff, but I'm not brilliant at it. So like I had this, we were doing Jack and the Beanstalk, and I kind of created this, like I crouched down a little bit so when the beanstalk could grow, I could sort of grow with it. It was just this really kind of simple, small, not amazing thing to pull off, but it was really satisfying. And like that's the only real moment I can remember from that show.
Yeah,
I guess it stood out from the rest of the other kind of stuff I do. So I think after having that really like show where our time was cut down, and if we were honest, like in that 10 minutes, it's not like we did a banger anyway.
Yeah.
So coming back to that venue and doing a show that was like, at the time felt like, wow, I love this team. That was one of the best shows I've ever done. That really stood out to me as one of my best shows, I guess. Yeah.
It's always like really satisfying if an audience notices like a physical choice like that. Like me and Galker did a show with Jazz Police at one point, where I remember jumping into a grave at one point, and then someone tagged me like as the priest, like just after having jumped into a grave, and without thinking I like brushed mud off of like my shins. The audience liked it. I was like, I wasn't even going for that, but thank you for noticing.
It's the little things.
It's the salt and the pepper on the meal of improv. Salt Bay for your improv.
Oh, good God. Cool. I think that's it from. I'm not going to ask any more questions. But McInnes, have you got like one more question we want to ask Liam, because we are getting to about 5:30 and we've talked a lot. And there's a lot of really interesting conversations that have come out of it.
Okay. I'm teed up for it. Okay, I'll ask a question. Okay, how about this? Group games. Talk to me about group games. I love them. I'm very interested in them. I like weird group games. What do you do? What do you do with a group game? If you like, you just want everybody on stage. Why would you do a group game if it isn't just like part of the form? And what situation would you like make it happen? Because I've got an answer for that I like. I'm always interested in what other people have. And what would you go to? Again, maybe the template is like everybody in here, but if it isn't that, what else would you do?
I'm going to be potentially quite brutal here. I'm going to isolate the words, why would you do a group game, and kind of throw that back at you. I have no interest in them. I think they're much more interesting for the improviser than an audience, personally.
I agree. I think that's true. Like, I think of group games as like, okay, we've done like good scenes. Now let's like do something for us. Like, let's be very stupid. And that's like a balance I think is kind of useful for a show. You get two in your head, I think, if it's like, every scene has to be like really good. We have to like initiate clearly, be funny. I want a bit in the show where it's like, I'm going to leave the room where we're doing the improv and maybe I'll like yell outside or something for some reason. That feels like, maybe the audience will like it, maybe they won't, but it will be like a nice little thing where we can remind ourselves improv isn't just like scenes. That's why I like doing it. That's my go-to. I don't like pre-established like group games. I don't like, okay, let's just do like everybody get in here. I don't like that. However, my answer then, why would you do it? One of the reasons I love doing it is, or one of the situations I really think it helps the show a little bit is like, if I'm with a team and it's in an intimidating environment for whatever reason, we've never performed there before, or we're a newer team, I like starting the show with a big group game. It feels like there's less pressure on that first scene. It's like, fuck it, everybody get out there and like, let's just yell for a second. Like, be bigger than we would usually do. That's what I usually do. If I'm like nervous, I'm like, okay, cowboys. Like, there's just like the stupidest shit I can come up with.
There's definitely been a lot of times where group games have saved the show. Not because they've been better, it's just, well, maybe they have been better.
Helps the performers, for sure, rather than like helps the show.
Yeah, it changes the tone and it helps the performers more, but like, I kind of look at it like a Harold, because if you're performing a Harold in front of an audience, they're not specifically going to understand what the beats are and what, especially for people who don't know a Harold. I'd say like a good Harold performance is you're getting a laugh from an audience who doesn't know what Harold is. But so if they're looking at it as the beats as three separate sketches, a group game it's just another sketch. And I agree with McInnes. It's kind of like it is mainly for the players, but if it's okay, it won't hurt the audience at all watching something change. You've got everybody in the scene itself.
I also think it's a valid answer to be like, I don't like them, I don't want to do them. I think that's because, like, I've seen a number of teams who do group games in a Herald exclusively because they're doing Heralds, and they clearly don't like it and they don't want to do it. And I'm like, well, then don't do that. Like, do something else. Why are you doing something none of you like? I mean, maybe your coach is forcing you to, but if you keep not liking it, don't do it.
I think I like you guys talking about like it's different, and I think like there is a lot of room for like, because most improv, like by its nature, is kind of like visually quite dull. Like unless you make a real effort, where there is like you can do like really fucking cool theatre shows where it isn't just two people looking at each other and talking to each other, that 11 scene kind of thing. So I think there is value to it in that way.
Maybe it's just like because I have like specific ideals for what I want from a scene, because from a comedic scene I don't think it's going to be anything. I'm not saying it has to be two speaking heads, but like I do think I want this to be like a sketch type scene. I probably want it to be like relatable to start with. I have a whole lot of things that I want from like a scene, but from a group game I want to be like not that. So I like doing that.
It's like the random one-off sketch in a TV show. You've got a whole bunch of sketches that sort of have multiple recurring bits in it, but a group game for me is like that one random sketch that never comes back again. And it's just fun to be fun.
Or like, there's a lot of like, if you're doing you do sketches, Liam, like a type of sketch that isn't uncommon is like a blackout sketch. If you did that in a group game, I'd be like, awesome. But if you did it in a scene with me, I'd be fucking raging. Like, what? You did your initiation and we edited? Fuck off. If everybody walked in for a group game and we edited in the initiation, I'd just laugh at it.
Yeah.
I guess it's the attitude that you bring into that scene, really. The rules feel different and the parameters feel different. It's interesting. I don't necessarily agree, but I think that's an interesting take.
Okay, well, that's all my questions. I ended on something that I could speak about, I guess.
Hey, and we're not here to answer questions. We're here just to give our opinions, and if we disagree about stuff, that's great. It's just another point of view, and like we said, it's
just a point of view. I mean, these are cast iron laws of improv once they're said on this show.
Yes.
Before the show, it's just an opinion, but now that it's been said on the BLC banter bus, now these are official laws of improv.
I'm sorry, Liam. You're now an official teacher of Bristol Long-Form Comedy. We require you to come to Bristol.
Gallagher apologises to all teachers that he hires.
Yeah. Are they fired now? They're all gone.
Thanks for coming, Liam.
Yeah.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Thank you guys very much. Been looking forward to this.
Have you got anything you wish to plug?
Friday we're doing Hoopla House Team Michelle is doing a show, Hoopla Impro. Also do a sketch thing called $2 Sock Club on YouTube. So check it out.
If you're out there, search $2 Sock Club on a video streaming site. YouTube.
McInnes, anything to plug?
I don't think my soundtrack show is happening next Tuesday, but this will be happening next Wednesday, I think.
Yes. We'll be back with another Billy Boy show and another Bristol Long-Form banter bus conversation on Wednesday evening.
No, and even though they're fucking lazy and not doing any streaming shows themselves, Jazz Police have a Facebook. Go and like Jazz Police. Sorry, each week I get more aggressive with them.
It's a running gag.
Yeah.
I also perform with a team called Boat Club. We do shows every Monday evening at 6:30 on YouTube. Search Boat Club on YouTube, and keep like the page, like Bristol Long-Form Comedy for more updates on videos and content and courses and everything else. Liam, thank you so much for the Billy Boy show, and thank you so much for having a chat with us.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Ooh. And with that,
Keep watching
Bye.
the skies.